I never expected my Tuesday morning to start with a jolt of confusion. It was the usual rush, packing Liam's lunch, getting him ready for school, and mentally preparing myself for a parent-teacher conference. Liam, my 12-year-old stepson, had always been a bright student, but lately his grades were slipping. His father, my ex-husband Daniel, was supposed to attend the meeting with me, but last minute he messaged, "Can't make it. Something came up. You go without me." Typical Daniel. I didn't think much of it as I arrived at Brookwood Middle School. I was ushered into a well-lit classroom where a woman, tall, confident, and strikingly beautiful, stood waiting. She wore a navy blue blazer and a look of composed warmth. "Hi, I'm Miss Sutton. You must be Liam's stepmother." "Yes, I'm Emily," I said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm and her eyes lingered on me just a second longer than expected. That should have been my first clue. As she talked about Liam's academic performance, I found myself zoning out, distracted by the way she occasionally paused, as if choosing her words carefully. Then came the personal questions. "Do you help Liam with his homework? Are you still in touch with his father?" I raised an eyebrow. "Daniel and I are co-parenting," I said cautiously. She smiled a little too knowingly. "He's a very interesting man." I didn't respond, but my stomach twisted. There was something about her tone. I brushed it off as my overactive imagination. But then as I got up to leave, she said, "Tell Daniel I said hello." That wasn't normal. That night I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I scrolled through Daniel's recent social media posts. Nothing out of the ordinary. But when I glanced at one photo of him at a wine tasting event last weekend, something caught my eye. In the corner of the photo, partially cropped out, was a woman's shoulder and auburn hair. It was her. Miss Sutton. Oh, it couldn't be. I clicked through more photos. A group shot. A reflection in a wine glass. And there she was again. My ex-husband's new girlfriend was my stepson's teacher. The next day, I invited Daniel to meet me for coffee under the pretense of discussing Liam's school performance. He showed up in a rush, still smelling like aftershave and expensive cologne. "You seeing Liam's teacher?" I asked, skipping the small talk. He blinked. "What?" "Miss Sutton." He sighed. "Emily, don't make this complicated." "So it's true." Daniel looked around nervously. "It just happened. We met at a fundraiser. She's different." "Different?" I scoffed. "She teaches your son. You thought this was okay?" She didn't know at first. When she found out, it was already too late. My chest tightened. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was the secrecy, the danger of mixing personal lives with professional boundaries. But there was more. I could sense it. Weeks passed. I kept my distance. Miss Sutton, now referred to as Claire in my mind, her first name Daniel had casually mentioned, acted as if nothing was wrong. But her eyes always darted away when we crossed paths at school events. One afternoon I arrived early to pick Liam up and saw them, Claire and Daniel, arguing behind the school building. She looked distressed. I wasn't the only one who noticed. Liam had started acting out. Quiet at dinner, withdrawing from his usual video games and books. Finally, one evening he blurted, "Dad and Miss Sutton are fighting a lot." I froze. "You saw them?" He nodded. "Sometimes after class. I think something's wrong." I debated telling the school. As a parent, it was a clear conflict of interest. As a woman who had once loved Daniel and cared for Liam like a son, it felt like stepping into a minefield. But then Liam came home with a note. It was meant for Daniel. Somehow it ended up in Liam's backpack. "We need to talk. I can't keep this from her anymore. The truth will come out and I'd rather it come from me." "Claire." "Keep what from me?" I called Claire. No answer. So I went to her. She looked surprised but not entirely unprepared. "I need the truth," I said. "All of it." She hesitated, then motioned for me to come inside. Her apartment was minimalist, clean. A photo of her and Daniel sat crooked on the bookshelf. "We were together before you and Daniel divorced," she said quietly. My heart dropped. "You were the reason?" She nodded. "He said your marriage was already broken." I believed him. I didn't expect to fall for him. And teaching Liam? That was a coincidence. When I realized who he was, I tried to keep my distance. But Daniel insisted it would be fine. I shook my head. "Nothing about this is fine." I reported the situation to the school board. They launched an investigation. Claire was put on administrative leave pending review. Daniel accused me of overreacting. "You're just jealous," he spat over the phone. But it wasn't about jealousy. It was about Liam. The boy stuck in the middle of our chaos. One night he asked, "Is it my fault?" That broke me. "No, sweetheart. None of this is your fault." Claire eventually resigned. Daniel moved on again. I focused on Liam, on rebuilding stability. We started therapy together. We planted a small garden in the backyard. We talked. And slowly life found a new rhythm. But I never forgot the feeling of betrayal, of secrets that unravel lives. Sometimes, the deepest betrayals aren't the ones shouted in arguments but the ones whispered behind smiles. Liam is thriving now, and I've started writing about my experience. Not for revenge but for healing. Because the truth, no matter how painful, is always better than the silence that hides it. And in that truth I found my strength again. Subscribe to Veiled Desires for more real, raw, and honest stories from the heart. Until next time.